Check, check. Good evening. The institution of the church. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing is a question. Reverence. Isn't reverence performative? Like, to be really reductive. Like LARPing. I mean, we have to choose, we have to consciously apply ourselves to the practice or act of being reverent. We have to attend something in our minds. And I would suspect that people may confirm if you have an understanding with this concept, this idea of reverence or being reverent towards something. See, I don't want to pull out the sacred word. Sacred. You know what's funny? Side note, to get back into the Gnosticism, another name for Yaldabaoth, or however you say the bad god's name, is Sackless. True story. Sackless. S-A-K-L-A-S. Sackless. Sounds like someone, Guar was probably, safe to say Guar would not be without Sackless. Either way. But reverence, isn't it? It's always by function of it being a choice, like reverence is something personal that, let's think like 1984. You can't make me think something. Oh, yes, we can. Maybe not right now, but we can create the context for it to be the natural thought that you have. And the old cliched, but I think important questions of it. Is there such a thing? Are there such a thing? Is there such a thing as free will? And I think I don't want to get too schizo too quickly, but, it is semantics, right? It's just a word. What is the thing itself? I mean, that's a basic but also constant problem that's available for us to try to solve. I want to tell you a story. I want to start this with a story. I think we're going to kick back and watch that. It's the Navalny documentary. You may have noticed that I'm attending this evening's proceedings with sunglasses on, and the camera angle is super skewed. I mean, I'm just going to go with it. Okay? See the guy behind me over there? He's got his eyes on you. Me too. But my eyeballs, they turned bright blue with glowing gold pupils. They're like pulsating and rippling with little whitish, little purplish tinge to the crackles around them. It's pretty, but I like you guys too much, and I don't want to, wait, you know what, maybe if I move the mic, see, I am a genius. I knew I was a genius. Watch, if I move the mic, I move the camera angle. Huh? I'm feeling super weird. Look, I live a pretty mundane life. I'm not living I mentioned the other day I was tired. It was the full moon. I almost made it sound like I'd gone places and done crazy, wild, pagan, party time things. But no, I just mean it's a lot of work being alive in this space here. I don't know if the labor theory of value, I don't know if it really, well, I don't know. We have yet to see. But where's my prop? Where's my prop? I hope the noise canceling is on. I found when I'm playing the guitar, let's just say it's like an electric guitar unplugged on, or even, I'm sorry, with the amp on. I was recording stuff thinking, oh, that's so cool. I went back to listen, and there's, you might hear like a couple mid bass notes hum through, like boom, boom. But then it'd be like, it'd just be blank. You hear me talking, okay. Like right now, it's on. It picks things up, but so turn it off and it's fine. It gets everything raw, straight through. Data comes in. The data goes where it needs to goes. Oh man, I got the wrong screen on. We're not ready for that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn the lights back on. Boom. You still eat your popcorn, but lights are back on for now. You see Coochie Kobe back there? Yeah. He does good work. You know about Coochie Kobe? All right, I do want to tell you a story here. I live a pretty, like I'm a dad dude. If I started playing in a band again, I would be in a dad band. I got a dad bod, I got a dad band, I got dad jeans, but I don't wear them because I always wear. See, I'm not going to tell you. It's not pants. I don't like. It's too constricting. I need to dance. I've been told dancers' legs, and they need to fly. They need to exercise freely, and such. But I kind of self-medicate. Look, I think a lot of people out there, which is bizarre. All right, I'm jumping around, but this will make sense in a moment. Autism rates, or rates of, I don't know, diagnosis rates of people registering on the spectrum, ASD. I don't know. It's a wide, I don't know, pun intended. It's a wide spectrum of folks that, but people are it's not imitating. It's kind of like almost like a permission to think freely, or maybe not hyper obsess over a detail, but there's something. I think it's really complicated because on one hand, it's a way that makes it cooler, but on the other, I think there's a lot of people. Okay, I said I'm going to jump around. It's going to make sense. This is what I'm going to say. I don't think I'm in that. I don't think I'm in that. I don't think I'm autistic. I don't think I'm on the spectrum. I have, as I've mentioned before, family that is on my wife's side. It is common. I think my dad, there's a charm to it. There's an honesty. It's too complicated for me to just here's my take on that. But what I wanted to say is I think I do have like ADD. I am ADHD, baby. I wasn't like a Ritalin kid. Some of my best friends were Ritalin kids. I'm in the Ritalin kid crew. But so anyways, I self-medicate. I enjoy the cannabis. I prefer a sativa. I like a sparkly, creative euphoria. I don't like to be sleepy. Sometimes something will be, this is an indica dominant, but it to me it registers like a sativa. The rules sometimes line up, but there are exceptions. Life's an adventure. But I haven't had any just regular stuff. So in Delaware, recently, our governor, after 2 passes, I believe, after he vetoed twice before, it may be 3, but I know 2 at least, okay? I'm only loosely paying attention. That's why I say there could be, but, 2 is a lot on its own. He straight up, it got to him, and he's like, no, it's morally, or the people aren't ready for it. It's too bizarre. Like, man, we got tattoo shops, vape shops, liquor stores. What else? That's it. there's, there's a little more than that, but Delta 8 flour is totally legit, and that's good stuff too. But I took a chance on it's like a distillate. Here's the prop. You see that? I don't know if the camera's good enough. This is a $16 camera. It seems to do pretty good. It looks like a syringe, but it's like a big freaking huge syringe though. I got like a real quick video where I stuck something through my nose and I pretended like I was actually piercing it at the time. Like nobody watched it. And I thought that's really good stuff to see some strange dude out of the middle of nowhere just sticking this huge. And I'm thinking, like, is it 10 gauge? Is it 8? No, it's not 8. It's 10. It might be 12. Don't be telling fish tales and stuff. But, I think it was about a 10. And, I could still have my septum pierced, but I don't wear it. So that was the magic trick. Like, I wasn't really piercing it. But I don't know if I could fit that through. Anyhow, I'm like out of stuff either way. And I had some of this. It's just a little in there. And it's so hard because the distillate's thick. It's quite thick. Like push really, really, really hard. I had to take a paper towel and wrap it around the bottom, put it on, not just on the middle of the table, because pushing with that much pressure, I had to push on a corner where it's reinforced. And oh boy, did I have to push. But I did. And I pushed probably too much and too hard. And holy hell, this stuff has rendered me. I mean, I'm talking like, I feel like I'm 16 years old skipping school, stoned, man. I don't know. Can I say that on the internet? I mean, like, it's not for kids, so I don't know. If this is inappropriate for you, I'm sorry that I just like sprung that on you, all of this. But it's legal. It's on the up. It's totally on the up and up. And I went from being bored and kind of desperate for a little cerebral kick to unexpectedly being a weird stoned teenager in like this old dude's body. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Amphetamines. I have been prescribed amphetamines, and there's something to that whole deal. There's something to that whole deal, but it's not, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not a straight, like, remedy. Like, if you take an NSAID, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug like ibuprofen or Tylenol. I don't know if aspirin that's like analgesic. I'm no chemist. I was a pharmacy tech. I was a fully accredited pharmacist tech, level 3. I was a teenager back then. Wow. Well, this channel is dedicated to the old dad dude doing a stream thing at night. No. We're chronicling some deep thoughts here and talking about amphetamines. I push those things really hard. You get a lot more done, etc. But if you consider, I mean, people take this narrative so far where they start to put pieces together. They say, okay, methamphetamine, that's got the word amphetamine in it. And Adderall it's like dextroamphetamine salts, right? And there's other variants. I mean, it's not hard to figure out like stimulant class, and I don't know about the like methylated, atoms of things, but I can't do it. I don't do that stuff anymore. That's the point. That's really the point. I don't want to talk about or think about really the experience. I don't know what I was thinking there. Like, how do I describe the whole dynamic? I do think of people going too far in that conversation. Say, Tom Cruise in Scientology saying, "Don't you know what that does to kids' brains?" And he's jumping around, yelling at Oprah in a playful but frightening way. You guys remember that? I do. I do. I do. I do. Man, this documentary, I don't know if it's not even like a documentary. It's more like a letter to the public. It's a counterweight to. I mean, the man is in jail. Talking about Alexei Navalny, whom the documentary that I'm about to cue up is about. It's not just about him. He's in it, right? It's kind of like in this style. It's like, hey, this is what we're doing, and check this out. And it's a view of a situation to give you the context, the understanding, to hopefully to get it. To get it. Can you get on the level? Are you on the level? Being on the level is crucial. It's not as it's just not out there, like I maybe hoped it is. Now, trying to be fair, I've not talked to everybody in the world. I don't have the fullness of understanding of all the personalities and whatnot. But because of patterns and the way those recur, and also empathy, right? Empathy is a great equalizer. I did want to bring up empathy. Empathy, like reverence, right? Talking about reverence, is it performative? I think you can bridge reverence into a lot of other emotions. I think you can mix and mingle and hybrid or low brid. Johns, hybrid or low brid Johns. That's the technical name. Yeah. At least I could do while I'm like yammering on, seeing if anyone maybe's floating around here in the AM, in the dead of night. Not even the dead of night. The dead of night is dead. We're on to the undead of night, right? What if I said that? I said the undead of night. I did say, let me tell you a story. I don't know if anyone's in here. I'll have to switch over to another screen. I will, but it's, I find like watching the analytics and whatnot is distracting enough. And the story I wanted to tell was, in reference to mental disorders. That's what I say. I am, like messed up, man. I am messed up. But it's not an autistic thing for me. It could be. Like I said, it might as well be. I've got, I'd say, like, okay, I've got two brothers and two parents. Okay? I got 3 kids. That many? I'm like, how many fingers? 3 kids, 1 wife. I got 1 dog, 2 cats. And see, I'm distracted. I'm already distracted. I'm, what's the ADD is like a distraction. Yeah, but I move fast. I like to go through things, chew it up, understand it, store it best I can, try to arrange it. Collectors and obsession, OCD people understand, how do you, as cliche, it's cliche, golly day, as it is to say, like, organizing your music collection. How do you do it? Alphabetically, by color, by smell. That's how I do it. Hawkwind smells the best. Just so you know, it's ironic because, I wouldn't think that you'd think that Hawkwind would be the one that smelled the best, but it does. It does. It's yes, it's musky, but also it has a clean, lineny, medium-bodied pineapple, almost like a vanilla with like a high citric pineapple finish that sings through. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean. So this story, it just keeps going on and on and on. What is the story? What is the story? The story is I feel the way I feel, and then I'm messed up in those ways. Like I'm doing okay, all right. But I mean, like who is perfectly sterile and linear in just how they think and extrapolate on complex and complicated things? I don't think it's normal to do that, anyways. Oh man, my dang cat is scratching at the screen. Let me pause this. Pause this. Mute this. Pardon me. I mentioned the two cats. there's a big fat like tiger. He's a copper and black tiger, striped, huge, round, like a plastic barrel that maybe got melted and then sat in the sun so that the bottom was flat, where it like melted onto the ground. Can you picture it? That's his. That's his, and with like a really nice rabbit fur kind of layered hair all around him, and his head's little teeny tiny, like it's like a small grapefruit on a melted plastic barrel shaped loaf of bread with a tail and paws. His name's Eddie, named after a bad guy in a Monk episode. One with Jason Alexander. What's that one called? Mr. Monk and the detective or something? I don't know. But the guy's name's Eddie Dial. Eddie Dial. And I actually got mixed up. There's two bad guys. There's like Eddie and I don't know, like Vinny or something, right? It's like Vinny's are always bad guys. Especially if they're in San Francisco. Like, what's this Vinny doing around here? You know what I mean? Is that racist? I don't know. I don't know. It's probably not, right? I don't know. It probably doesn't matter until there's I don't know. This theory could hurt me, but it probably doesn't matter until there's a much larger gathering of us. As I mentioned, a dozen would be a dozen of us. Us. Not a dozen of me in my face. I'm saying, I don't know. Like, are you on the level? Do you get it? I mean, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm like, other people have some really kind of bitch and rat ideas, and I do try to collect those. And like I said, with the ADD story that I'm telling here, amphetamines do help direct attention and focus. I think it sends more oxygen to the brain. I've also heard that means it can pull it away from other areas too. Like, but I don't know. I could just be imagining that. I'm no amphetamine doctor. Sustained amphetamine use will cause psychosis, though. Psychoses. It's a no good for your number one central nervous system. Any stimulant, no less like an amphetamine. I mean, let's forget about methamphetamine, okay? But the amphetamines, even like the pseudo ephedrines and such, they do certain things that at least keep you on task. And there is this weird, I don't know, what would you call it, unexpected effect of switching, because it's it's a stimulant, it's a central nervous stimulant. You're taking someone who's already, their outputs to, and you're putting more in there. It's, I don't know, what would you call that? That it produces a unexpected and contrary result. But it's complicated because you'd also have to consider what's the standard. As one person's crazy is another, I don't know, community's answer to their prayers. I mean, and this changes depending on what stage of life we're in. All right, let me try this. Let me try this. Excuse me. That's not what I meant to bring up. The thing that I wanted to address, I wanted to dabble in, and I don't mean to be callous from the get-go, but the recent, I don't want to say murder, but it was a murder, the subway in Manhattan. I want to give a take on that. It's the first thing I'd say is a lot of violence happens. Shit happens, It doesn't make it. I'm not saying anything other than it just does. So why about something that's shitty brings it to the forefront? Ideally, and I don't mean to say ideally in a like a cynical way. I don't mean like ideally like puppies and rainbows type thing. Which I love that, puppies and rainbows. That was just so good. It felt so good. That's such good content. Yeah, people that get it, right? People that, I'm sorry I'm deviating, but there's just so much to talk about. And like this weird THC stuff does have me kind of extra, my attention's like extra off, and maybe I'd be best suited to doing some drawings tonight. But there's stuff to talk about. And for some reason not for some reason, and the reason is obvious. And ideally we would be able to attend to not just the technical and legal aspect of the offense, but the actual deal, the thing itself, like, in reference to getting it, to grokking it, to like being present to the thing. I mean, you could argue that it's impossible to be completely there, right? To like know something, anything else, even, self, I don't know. But like God, for instance, I'm going to go all over the place here, right? But you'll find them at least consistent. If you took it all and you snipped it up and you put it in the orders, like this is the amphetamine conversation and this is the God conversation, I think you'd find that it might even be a little mundane, little normie centrist. The thing is, my patterns and my inclinations do tend to put me at a counter, to what people like the norms, the actual social norms are. Being there physically helps equalize things in a lot of ways. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, geez, what the heck? What the heck was I talking about? Ideally, we wouldn't have. All right, I'm going to start at the end with this situation. I wanted to find Jordan Neely, right? He was only 30. He looked old. He looked skinny, and I mean, I don't really know much about him. I don't want to profile, but I would imagine that if, from what I saw, like he's really skinny. He's probably homeless, and it's like chicken or egg. Is he homeless because of the mental disorders, or because he's been homeless? There's been an acceleration, a graduation, a progression of alcohol and crack or opiates or any number of things, or a lack thereof. Like maybe he needs medication. The lack of empathy is always there with the normies. They never get it. They never get it. These things, like other people have said, don't need to happen. And I think that it's justified to have some amount of rage over generally how people responded. But at the same time, I can't blame the people in those situations. Sometimes situations happen organically, and what grows is not good. I'm not condoning it or approving it. I'm saying there are, excuse me, conditions or factors of influence that, make it where, I mean, that's what storytelling is, right? You're telling a story, you're presenting variables that get you to the point where it's like, oh, of course these things happen. Of course there was this clash, or, they're going to get caught or fall in love or whatever. Excuse me again. You create the context to make it so that it's just the way you see it, they are going to fall in love, of course. And you can subvert expectations as an artist, but generally, we like to understand the thing, and the normies, they're understanding something different. It's like decorum, or there's like a deal that's in effect that you weren't necessarily aware of. Like people are raised with certain values, and like I started this. First thing I said was the institution of the church. Okay, the institution of the church. Fuck, there's no institution of the church. There are institutions that are churches, but it is not a necessary part of any of the best and most relevant parts of any religion. Getting it is the thing. Gnosis. Okay, I mean, it's a lot easier when you put a handle on it. I'm like crazy stoned and a little tired and a little nervous. I'm starting to feel pretty good, but like I said, ADD and the stoned, my train of thought's a little all over the place. It'll wear off. I'll catch on to what I'm saying here. Let's see if I can pick up what I was just freaking talking about. God damn, it's really bad. The ADD is really bad, guys. My dog has it too. Yeah, she do. Sometimes nicotine helps, Fortunately, I can say gnosis, and it brings me right back to it, Like as flesh, as a human, with my limitations and whatnot, with my, even, I've admitted my mental, inconsistencies with maybe I say people's expectations. There's a lot that phrase is lifting, holding up, representing. Expectations are, people can get very, very upset when their expectations aren't met. They just expect that, it's so basic, but it's so important to see that also. Why people do what they do is not an exact science. And I think when you get close to actually seeing what's going on and you present it, and maybe it's not all right, but some of it, it gets in your brain, in the way things work, and it shifts stuff around, at least for a little bit. But you got to have something to come back to. That's just the life of being a creative, crazy person. You're like adrift on the cerebrals, but there are ways to keep it together, and thank goodness, thank whatever goodness God that is, reason and linearity and relevance and consideration, appreciation, both like gratitude and absorbing the quality seeking and searching for the essence, identifying with it. Like I said, empathy earlier. Empathy, I don't think is performative. I think empathy is really a selfish is not the right word, but if like in a Satanist sense, selfish, like the Anton LaVey Satanism, where they take the AntiChrist idea and they try to apply. I say they. It was he. He wasn't like a cult leader, though. Ironically, the founder and leader of the Satanic Church. I think everyone involved was very willing. But they just took it and they switched it upside down. So it's like instead of turning the other cheek, you hit back twice as hard. I mean, and Satanists now still do that, but it's performative. Also, it's not. Ceremonies and rituals help us. Maybe keep track of our experience as humans in a way like a touchstone collectively for us. There are ways to make a case for traditions and norms, but expectations. Dog is making some crazy noises. Expectations, on the other hand, can be good and bad. I can make a case for them as well. You got great expectations, Kiss song, and apparently Paul Stanley is all the way on the shit list. Fuck that guy. My relationship with Kiss is a complicated one. And I thought Ace Frehley was dead, not because I just saw like one article. There was a shit ton of articles. I wasn't even looking for it. It was like 71 or something, died of a heart attack. And Paul Stanley said, fuck you, you're an asshole, something like that, and hung up the phone. I don't know, some kind of bullshit drama. But I was wrong. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I was wrong. It's just like... Information is always tentative. And having a short memory is good in some ways because the essence of any conversation should be pretty quickly within grasp. I don't know if anyone's watching, but this would be a good point to come in. Like, and any conversation can be reduced. And there's tact and sensitivity that perhaps should be applied in varying degrees. Like, say we're talking about the Vietnam War or Japan's rape of Nanjing, Britain's opium agenda, China, and with the 1800s. Hey, Boudica. My dog's name is Boudica. Boo for short. Right, Boo? Right, Boo Boo? Where are you at? Where are you at? Is she on this side? She's on that side. On this side. I don't know if you can see her. She'd have to, I guess, like fly up here. Now, of course, at the same time, things are complicated. Like on Twitter, people seem to think that they can represent these arguments without any pushback. I'm not. That would be where you'd go next. It's not that it's simple. It's just that you can reduce it, at least in some ways, to package it, like a handle. You put handles on things, and the Vietnam War would be. A few ways you could categorize that would be in the lifespan of the Soviet project from 1917, Lenin, then Lenin coming in on the train and Lenin dying and Lenin turning into a plastic memorial for all of time, and then Stalin and Mao and it's wow. The story covers a lot of land and time, and something about these arguments about what socialist governments are work or whatever, you cannot talk about them in an isolated, independent way, especially in the 60s and 70s. All of them, all of the E's, all of the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and today. Yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry. The Soviet project was it was like it was a monolithic thing. It was a monolith. It was one moving force that asserted itself. So Castro's not like, oh, we're gonna do this government, and these are the stylings, these are the nuances of the economy. It was a movement, and it was a contest, and it still is. Economics, that's a foil. I don't know. It's not. Those guts are not central. They're not like people say we're going to do socialism or I hate capitalism. It's like, what is that? A cartridge and a Super Nintendo, the ones that went on the top. It's not like a cartridge you put in. It's not. It's a loose or weird abstract. It's a word that attempts to describe something, but something like capitalism is all of the commercial, self-interested, societally sustaining enterprises and interpersonal associations. Those are just the program we're running. If we change the numbers here, then things will change. To some extent, that's true, but on a private and on an objective level, and that's, I guess, in the free market camp. But it's too general to say like capitalism is bad. However, in the tradition of Lenin and the Soviet experience was very monolithic, and all of the left-wing, factions. There are certainly exceptions, especially like the Spanish Civil War, and within, they're all over the place, Yugoslavia and the all over the place, name a place. But in that regard, the Soviet thing was a wide-reaching, and because there was a power differential, if you could appeal to the Soviet Union, at least in your mind, you get resources and the size, the backing bulk of that. It's like game theory, dude, with some weird cultural caveats. I don't know. The government conversation is really not that complicated, because human nature underpins it all, and then you've got the sociological considerations. It's not an exact science, but nonetheless, you have all these conversations that could be reduced, and in some ways on the internet, in our collective data retaining spaces, we gather and grow data and understanding of things. A machine gnosis of no. I mean, that's the gnosis would be knowledge of God. Or is it logos? The word is what's communicated into us, into our souls. The spirit is communicated into our souls. It's what provides our awareness, self-awareness. That juge. I don't know about that word. I don't know what I'm talking about when I say stuff like juge. But that's the juice. That's the grease. That's the juice in the grease. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to look at the human. You got to look at how the humans shake down, like shake it around, shake down, and do what they want to do. Look at where the humans are happy, and if you've got a difficult recurring thing, like homeless people their brains are. They're agitated, they're aggravated, they're disconnected. I'm in a very stable and secure situation. I'm not technically diagnosed with any, mental disorders. I was diagnosed with adult onset ADHD, but I honestly think that was more like, it was a cool doctor, and he was like, I guess he thought I wouldn't abuse him, or he thought it was up to me, he was on the level. He was on the level, but that had some caveats. That's an interesting story that I don't want to, put public information out there like that. I'm just saying my experience going through that. I actually went to them when I was younger, when I was in high school. I went through like a Sid Vicious phase. It was like really just the aesthetic is a powerful thing, you know? And I think I'm a pretty cerebral and cynical, critical person. I think I was a lot nicer and kinder and trusting when I was younger. I was still tall. I was like 6'5" and wore a size 13 shoe when I was like 11 or something. Um, but sorry, let me get back to the general scheme of things. You know, like my experiences with psychiatrists and whatnot. Maybe I have other things that I could be diagnosed with now. I probably do. I have kind of like a PTSD things. I've seen some shit, man. I have seen. I've seen some things and I've been some places, and I believe you have too. And all of us with our seen some things and been some places and know some things, and we, combine, and there's energy there. You feel like there's energy. You feel it. If it's in the stars and the moons, and here's the science we could apply, then you could fuck off. That's not how it works. But that the juice, the grease, the spirit. There's a difference between just living. Like let's say you're generating some kind of cells on a synthetic biology. Yay. Seriously. Like we need to be much more invested in that. Life is life, but spirit is spirit. Is it like, do animals have spirit? I think they do. And that's, of course, like, would be nice. And there are reasons that a human would, just like, do we live forever? I say yes because it makes sense. I have no right to make that determination. But our mind structures things in regards to time, past and future. And I don't think it'd be delusional to suggest that our minds can, in some interestingly, it's compelling how our minds can imagine in a living for eternity. How we're like comfortable. It's much more comfortable structuring our expectation of experience in that way. And I would go as far as to say, I'll go as far as to say that by considering, by rendering your behavior based on that, I don't mean out of fear of hell. Like forget hell, take hell off the board. There's no such thing. Reincarnation, on the other hand, yes, reincarnation is a thing. Not endlessly, not eternally, but some of us have been through a few times. Anyone that tells you they remember what happened before is, again, in the you can fuck off category. But, I mean, like, just life regenerates. There's something else that animates life, and you can see it in fungus. You can see it in all kinds of life. You can see it in water. You can see how things, they move around and work their way in and out of things. And as long as there's, some, I was going to say some light, but no, some things don't need light, actually. Stuff grows, stuff finds a way, stuff coalesces. It's like different levels of organized intelligence. Like an octopus is like, way up here, right? What is that intelligence? Intelligence, it's not like, it's not, at least not completely, not like read me the sensory data. The sensory data, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do you taste? Complete perfect impression of what your sensory data is. I mean, it's not that, but that would be just a raw mechanical type of intelligence. And if you had a medium to explain that or like transcribe it, then all the better. But there's something extra. There's something extra there that considers time and significance and say like priority, but like comparative values and like priority, how we order, we like triage our intent, and you can incorporate pure, well, maybe not purely, but ethical considerations, relationships, arrangements, responsibilities. These things are ours to choose. It's a choice. I mean, sometimes you're subjected to, and of course, like have to survive, and there's a lot of have tos, but nonetheless. Throat is like acting all raw. That's extra distracting right there. The conditions that produce something like the Jordan Neely situation, it is shocking because I can picture the character of the like 24-year-old Marine or ex-Marine or something, but I can't. I have to do some imagining. I have to do some character development to get them from the point that I know them, that character, that archetype, that human personalities recur. Their choices and collection of genetic and situational factors change, but the personalities and anyways, they're like radio stations. You kind of like pull into certain bandwidths. Damn, I'm having a really hard time concentrating. I'll tell you what, kids, don't do the drugs, and I'm not going to. Holy hell, I'm not going to experiment before I do this again. Once I put that stream at 3:33 up, I was like, I'm doing this. I got shit to say. I always got shit to say, but can I say it in a way that translates? Like I was saying, sensory data, just directly communicating over. I like to study speech patterns and rhythm and intensity and also like an application of relevance. This matters, and this is why it matters, and to make the argument for it. But I guess I need some visual cues, and to have some rehearsed thing I could grab on. I'm salient. I'm just a little like, I don't know, like drugged up. But also, don't do drugs. That's the thing. The thing I would also with Jordan Neely, I assume there's word of like a criminal record or whatever. That's not a sign of bad behavior. That's a sign of exposure to an environment where those types of things happen. Because whatever he was arrested for, or whatever was on his record, I'm sure that other people in his area of his age and like whatever categories are going to have similar charges too. It's applied uniformly to whatever that young to, well, just people, especially people of color in certain areas of the city and certain circumstances, whether chicken or egg, the mental or the situational, engages with the other, and it tends to continue to unravel. But there's also like a stasis too. It's like a little red clip from, and turn it into a dance video and be like politician TikTok video. It says viewers will experience buffering. Why? It's always about why, though. Okay, we're back to green. I think we're good. All right, so Jordan Neely, drugs, crack, alcohol. That's my guess. Crack is I don't know. I'm not in there. I don't know what's going on. But I also understand how drugs progressively push on certain personality and personality types, characters, trajectories. When I say personality types, I'm not referring to a concrete thing. I'm kind of a general category. And like in role-playing Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot, you have a character and you start to amalgamate a whole based on dexterity and intelligence and charisma and other stuff. And then there, are physical attributes. All these things, of course, there's an infinite amount. Not technically, is there? There aren't, because it's in the finite world. It can't be infinite, but it sure is going to be close. An infinite amount of possibilities, given the differences in physical and situational determinants. That being said, there are rough patterns that you can track. Nice, mean, energetic, chill, sus, trustworthy, loyal, social butterfly. Yeah, this could be fun. Like, well, nothing's going on. I can just think of different adjectives. I feel like one of you guys got me sick. I feel like all of a sudden, it's fine until I came here. I come here, I got my throat's like sore. And yeah, what the heck? Huh? What gives? Yeah, I wonder. If anyone comes in here, though, I can get my thoughts together. There's tons of stuff that's just out there brewing and stewing that I think bringing the kind of religious, maybe even like fire and brimstone energy, a sense of urgency, and also like, hey, you're not crazy to want to incorporate a sense of spirituality and purpose that might not be completely justifiable in technical and immediate terms. But reason and fair, good faith criticality, being critical in a good faith and measured, good faith. You're honest, like you're not like, oh, it's so close. If I didn't do that, then I could. No, none of that. You can't lie to yourself and be good faith. You cannot do it. It's really tempting to like fudge over some things. Oh, that's another thing. I was saying I'm messed up, right? Like I got a little depression. I got ADD. I'm pretty good with the depression now. Like it doesn't, I might get discouraged. I think I'll have lows where I'm like, damn, that really sucks. And I get maybe bitter. I process things like that. And I've learned to absorb it, use it. Empathy. If I'm feeling it, then someone else has felt it. If I'm thinking it, then roughly at least someone else has thought it. It might not. It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's a fun or good or valuable thought. But still, our experiences subjectively only swing so far from one side to the other. And you can, like I say, begin to group things, and any conversation could and should be able to be summed up, at least reduced to a functional, like representative pile. And at the same time, things are actually much more complicated than that. But the way people practice exchanges to talk about stuff like that is on trend, like politics or I don't know, whatever's on trend, trans issues, which is now super and unfortunately the effect that is going on in the public over the Dylan Mulvaney effect, where she was living her life. I mean, I would have guessed if she's like an influencer and Bud Light sought her out for the act. She looks like a successful young woman, and that that's good to flaunt, to show off. I encourage that. It's not. I mean, like vanity. Fuck vanity. Like if you feel good while you're showing off, and anyone wants to look, that's fine. But if you're your own electric light orchestra, then do that thing. that's what you got to do. And wow, I just get distracted with the thought of like going to the disco or something, like rocking this open shirt thing. I need like a necklace, like a little metal necklace. Look, let me try to remember what the fuck I was just talking about and get some more drinks. Whichever one of you guys got me sick and is like cold or whatever the fuck. Thanks a whole lot. Thank you for not washing your hands or for licking the rail at the train station. Thank you. Wouldn't it be nice if that was all we had? Like that's crazy people just did like weird stuff that maybe hurt them all, like that, not this insane deadly tension, the othering and the pull into these patterns of, like homeless people, especially geographically. You could say in this area there's going to be a trend. The drug addicts of whatever variety, say the crackheads, are probably going to be consuming the same kind of base materials. There's not going to be a whole lot of variety. And as you go out, that changes. So the experiences with drugs in different areas, there's going to be some uniformity to it. Oh, what the hell was I? All right, I'm going to keep blabbing. So look, I'm going to mute this microphone. Remind me when I get back. No, I wanted to say that the patterns of abuse and liability and difficulty and the things that are starkly upsetting. Let's think the Dylan Mulvaney effect, where it is now violently. Or there's a young woman that Brianna Joy Gray interviewed after she did a segment on Rising with Robbie Suave, and it was on that issue when I did like a commentary on that. More like, criticizing how the normies think, like it gets blown out. Anyways, it doesn't matter what the real situation is, because now transgendered individuals, people, girls, women, guys, gals, anybody, whatever the hell their business is going on, like, are now, there's so much vitriol and tension and misunderstanding. And also, whenever there's misunderstanding, there is strange imitation around that. So there's mental disorder, and but it's like that, but it's tentative enough figuring out who the fuck anybody is. I'm saying, can you truly know self? Maybe. And when you know self, is it in accordance with the world, or is it a compromise of the two? Or is yourself something that's certain, but it can get atomized and then it has to get rearranged? Or when it's rearranged, does it possibly change? So it's always, yes, one thing, but that one thing is also going through these different states of disincorporation and reincorporation. Basic stuff I'm asking here. What's the deal? What's the deal with... Oh, God, nobody's here. If not... No, I'm not gonna... I'll be back. Well, good golly, Miss Molly. You sure like to ball. Man, there's some good music in our human history. And I think that's a testament right there. Our musicality is maybe explained by, you could say, the sensations are pleasurable or intriguing because they like coalesce with our natural rhythms, maybe the heartbeat in utero, or other associations with, I don't know, you could trace some kind of like causal, maybe, but there's so many different angles that it comes from. There's a spirit. I think in music you could apply that Gnostic kind of consideration where there's the material of the music, let's say the instruments and the the speakers and the hardware, and then there's soul, which would be maybe the structure of the song, maybe like the actual technically the cadence and and then there's the juice and the grease, the spirit, which is real. And you can want it, but not necessarily get access to it. You're going to tell me that's not real? You're going to tell me, very intelligent atheists out there, that your very normal thinking is what intelligence is? That's what reason is? To be normal? To put everything in a very clean and dry... No! That's like saying, look at my car. And I'm like, why is it just sitting there all the time? And you say, because I don't want to drive it, something bad could happen to it. I live in it. Like, this is so cool, it's so nice. And like, it's like not supposed to just sit there. That's not what it's designed for. There are things that become apparent once you put it in the context that it it engages, right? Like an inference of you call like causal chains, and spreads out from there. You got to take it out to see what can happen and what can't. You find the middle ground, and maybe you can consider what the essence of the thing is, but you got to be engaged and involved in honestly testing it, thinking about it, considering it. And now we have like YouTube and things, and that's what brought me on. I was saying, what kind of stuff do I watch, right? Like, and we could talk about anything. What do people talk about on the internet? And I'm thinking, it wasn't so long ago that I didn't use YouTube like this. I ran a comic shop, which is probably saying too much. I ran a comic shop. I did. It wasn't. I say technically I did, okay. And I worked with a pretty cool dude that set me up with a awesome. It was like the ultimate comic nerds diary of a modern crazy hipster comic book guy. Like growing up, I didn't read DC. I didn't get into I hadn't read the Crises. I didn't understand what that meant. And honestly, like, collecting comics takes money. And when I was a kid, it's kind of about the looks, but then also, there's a generational thing. Whatever generation, and when I say generation, I mean like when, I don't know, like it's like a 20-year span. Like ages, they call it the Bronze Age or the Golden Age or the Copper Age or the Modern Age. It's not a real thing, but it helps us kind of, narrow things down and create a possibility to pass the information back and forth in a way that transfers, mostly, hopefully. Sorry, that's making crazy noises. Man, my throat is really freaking stinking messing with me. It's like the forces are and this is unusual. I can't remember the last time, if ever, my throat is hurt exactly like this. And nobody's watching? I mean, come on. 3:33 in the AM, some creepy guy calling himself the AntiChrist puts up a stream where I'm like looking funny and I'm like, you're not even curious? I'm curious. I'm curious about you. I'm curious about what's going on out there. Because we are out here. And as the patterns that I've been describing, these kind of natural, or I got to get a new chair. This chair's starting to get squeaky. As patterns kind of organically, like hump and trough, and that they'll orient themselves in ways that you can track on a micro or macro level. And in this time and age and society with our technology, we're doing that. We are tracking and tracking data and building things with that data and building on that data and taking data from that data, and exponentially it's growing. The more data there is, the faster it grows. The faster it grows, the more data there is. You know what I mean? And data is not just raw, points of information. There are part of what grows the data is the function and the explanation and the mostly the function, the stuff that you can do that comes out of those things. Yeah. So what do I think it was drawing after the comic shop. After. Okay, why was there after? Why didn't you just keep going? I'm too crazy like that. I'm a brilliant maniac that just cannot do anything right. At least not for very long. I don't know. We're trying to turn that around this time. Same thing with the bands. I did tattoos. Like I showed yesterday. I do my little doodles. My monk there. It's like, what's it say? Going the wrong way. There's not enough light. I can't read backwards. I wonder if we can get it to fit in the frame. That's kind of cool. It's kind of a fun idea. If I had better lighting, I could do. Man, what is wrong with my brain? Like thinking about making it geometrically aligned. It's like backwards. If you interlace your fingers and then like twist your arms inside out, and someone says, touch, like this finger right here, your brain sometimes, you're like, oh, that's a tough thing to try to explain verbally, right? Like, I think it's like you put your fingers like this, and then like that, right? And then someone's like, they'll point to one of the fingers and they'll say, move, like this one over here, and they're like touching the finger, they're pointing at it, and it's like, I can't do it. This one moves instead, and I meant to move like this one. Or wait, this one, but I meant to, no. Uh-oh. There we go. See, it's a little disorienting. But you can acclimate, and sometimes that's the way it goes. We're fun like that, us humans. We like life mentally, slip around, slosh around, go out, cover on things. And, after the comic shop, I said, oh, heavens, oh, my land, oh, my word, whatever am I to do now? Perhaps now that I know it is such a thing as a job to be a comic book illustrator, it's not like, because every kid wants to be, I don't know, not every kid, but a lot of us do want to be like Mike. As I said, there are generational, there are things that were significant to, say, my generation, which were kind of cheesy but also super awesome. Image comics, for instance. This is when the top, I mean, it's not just like we can say the top. They were really the best ones, the best artists, and presumably, I think artists, that was a time when artists, did something. But then it proved not enough. Maybe like naive, because you need some institutional people to pay attention to the institutional structures, to consistently and in a way that's stable and predictable as much as is possible, so that you can focus your priorities on that objective thing you're doing, like making or creating something, or thinking about this, or building widgets, or whatever. And when you're, as an artist, you're like, here's the story. The best artists and some writers, inkers, editors, letterers left Marvel and DC. Oh, yeah. They were like, because, look, we work on these characters all the time. And in fact, we, gotta make, not gotta, but we make new characters, right? Like, think X-Men. I get to work on, it's not the main, it's not Uncanny X-Men. It's not, X-Men. It's, I don't know, the mutant exchange of starfish. I don't know, of starfish. The mutant exchange of starfish, fishes, loaves and fishes and loaves. The mutant exchange of fishes and loaves. Yeah, it's a 6-part series. I get to do that. I'm inking with this guy. This gal's writing it. This gal's doing the colors. It's gonna be so cool. And you make a couple characters, and they end up being like Wolverine and Storm or something, and they're not yours. The company owns them. You don't make anything off them later. It's just you don't have any attachment to the thing that you created. Not technically. And now that sounds almost like silly, like, but you get to work for, I don't know how it sounds, but that was the deal. You had like Todd McFarlane, Jim Valentino, Jim Lee, Eric Larson, Sam Keith. I mean that's a whole big story. Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld was the hot guy. He was in a Levi's like button fly commercial. It was like being cool. Rob Liefeld, and I don't know if Jim Lee was in those. I'm like putting him there too. Imagine these guys wearing jeans. Rob Liefeld really went through like his feather hair. Rob Liefeld. You know what? It's like nobody's here. Let's see. If somebody's here, let's see. I'll ask you if you're here. But no, nobody's here. That's all right. I'm getting my hours in. Look at this as an experiment here. Curious. See if the stream comes up. Yes. That's fun. Huh. I wonder if the picture kind of sucks. So maybe. Yeah, let's change that. Because I see that like monkish bald thing. Just so you know, like that's the Holy Spirit right there coming through. Monk. It's the word. It means solitary in Hermeticism. Hmm. Maybe this one. Yeah, let's go with that one. Let's see if it looks any better. Eh? Eh? Awesome. Nice. It's cool. You guys are cool. Let's see if the picture changes. No, it didn't change. Why didn't it change? Did it just take a minute or? Why did I could have sworn I was able to change the picture. I just didn't. I just. Yeah. Why is okay? It should be in place, right? When everybody talk like Christopher Walken. No, it's not the picture. Christopher Walken. It's so fun, you know. Like it's maybe it'll come up till next time. Man, okay, maybe let's do this. Let's do this. Stop, end stream, and now there we go. Now we're